Donald Trump is involved in a litany of lawsuits and investigations. Between allegations of election interference, business fraud, and inciting a mob, it can be difficult to keep them all straight. So we spoke with Forbes staff writer Zach Everson to break down a few of the biggest cases against Trump and what they mean for the former president. First, the New York Attorney General's investigation.
The Office of New York Attorney General Letitia James is looking into the property valuations that Donald Trump's provided over the years. In some instances, they're looking into whether he has inflated them when it suits him, and in other instances, if he's lowered them when it suits him as well, such as with tax filings. It is a civil investigation. It is not something that could end up in criminal charges. There are two other investigations in different jurisdictions that are also looking into this issue, the Manhattan DA and the Westchester County. The New York AG one is the one which we know the most about, largely because the former president is not complying with subpoenas. So the Attorney General's office has had to repeatedly go to court to try to get them to do so. Most recently, Letitia James asked the judge to hold the former president in contempt and fine him $10,000 a day until he does comply. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is investigating Trump and the Trump Organization for allegedly inflating the value of properties on financial statements. This investigation is a criminal one. Recently, however, a couple of lead prosecutors stepped away, concerned that the new district attorney, Alvin Bragg, was not going to be prosecuting the former president. Bragg issued a press release recently, however, saying that the investigation was still continuing. There's also an investigation in Westchester County where one of his properties is, and that has been pretty quiet. We just know that investigation is happening, but we haven't had any details. The office won't respond to requests for comment. And if they do have any findings that are egregious, at the end of the day, it could certainly take a lot of money from them if there is a civil fine, but is it going to be substantial enough to say knock him off the billionaires list? Probably not. You could certainly say there'd be reputational damage, but I think at this point, you already have your opinion on Donald Trump.
Next, election fraud damage claims.
A Delaware County, Pennsylvania elections official, he oversees the voting machines in the warehouse, is suing for defamation, asking for at least $50,000. Claiming that accusations that he tampered with the vote have impacted his ability to do his job. He's suing Trump along with some other people involved in the campaign, notably Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani. Trump's attorneys have filed a preliminary objection to the case, and the plaintiffs are still moving forward. They're trying to get discovery started, and that is also being argued about as well. There was a lot of residual damage to some people with these election fraud claims. You're seeing the overall result was obviously Trump's out of office, the election results stood as they should have, but all those claims in throwing of that mud, it stuck to some people, like people who are not usually in the news, but people who work for elections boards, people who work for voting boards, and their reputation is harmed. And then, for a brief period of time, a lot of these people just got slammed online, all sorts of online abuse because they were accused of throwing the election in favor of Joe Biden, and they were in cahoots with the big state. And I mean, honestly, these are just people going about, in this case, doing his warehouse job.
And finally, cases related to January 6th.
The riot at the Capitol on January 6th has led to several cases and investigations regarding former President Trump. Most notably, there's the House Select Committee on January 6th, which is researching the causes of the event. While the committee's final result is set to be a report, on the way to that report, it has been referring some cases to the Justice Department. Recently, the House referred two allies of former President Trump, Peter Navarro and Dan Scavino, to the Justice Department for defying congressional subpoenas. Former President Trump also faces several lawsuits from police officers over the January 6 riots. The police officers are both with the Capitol Police and the Metro Police of D.C., and they're alleging that Trump inflamed, encouraged, incited, directed, aided, and abetted the rioters who assaulted them. Additionally, there are two suits that members of Congress have filed against the former president. One is a group of legislators led by Karen Bass. The other is Representative Eric Swalwell. And they are alleging that there was a conspiracy to incite a mob violating civil rights laws, most notably the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1867, which was passed in hopes of keeping the Klan from preventing legislators from doing their official duties. Trump's doing what Trump does. He is fighting all of the allegations and doing everything he can to slow up the judicial process, taking his time fighting against subpoenas and just in general not cooperating, which he doesn't really have to. He's using legal avenues to fight them. This investigation is easily the most consequential for Donald Trump, as an investigation into trying to overturn election results probably should be. There's probably not going to be much impact on his businesses, but this could potentially result in criminal charges. Again, that would be a long way off if it happens at all, but the January 6th committee already has referred some people over to the Department of Justice.